Just a little note before we get started. My son looks nothing like me, and I have a baby face. So when people see us together, they usually assume I'm the babysitter, not the mother. I had just gotten off work, and my husband was waiting for me with our son, who was 4 months old at the time. We ordered something to go, and my husband went to use the bathroom, while my coworkers watched over my baby at the pickup counter. I noticed this older man, maybe in his mid-50s, watching us, but I brushed it off. My son tends to get a lot of attention, and this guy came into the McDonald's pretty regularly. He hadn't raised any red flags. Until now. He walked over, smiled at my son, and asked if he could hold him. I politely declined. Then he takes out his wallet and pulls out a $20 bill. With one of the creepiest old man voices I've ever heard, he said, "Why don't you take this and get yourself a sandwich and leave the baby with me," holding the money out like it was some kind of trade. "No, thank you," I replied, still trying to stay calm and polite. I needed this job, and we had just gotten a new general manager. I wanted to make a good impression. "Aren't you hungry? It's so hard working 2 jobs. I'm sure if anything happened, the parents wouldn't blame you," he said, with this disturbed grin on his face. That's when the alarm bells really started going off. I was about to go off on him when my husband came out of the bathroom and immediately stepped between us. "Oh, you must be the father," the old man said, now addressing my husband. He offered him the money too, but didn't mention taking our son again. We started heading toward the door, trying to put some distance between us and this creep. But he followed us, still waving that $20 bill, muttering about giving the baby a better life. My husband finally had enough. He stopped cold. The man bumped into him, and my husband stared him down, hard. The guy didn't say another word. He turned and shuffled back into the restaurant. A few weeks later, the old man came back in. This time, he ranted about how he could have given my baby a better life, better than my husband ever could. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "I'm the mother, and you can get your sausage biscuits somewhere else. You're not welcome here anymore." And I haven't seen him since that day. So, to the old creep who tried to buy my son for $20, let's not ever meet again. So this happened about a year ago, and it's still pretty freaky. For context, my friend and I are both 22-year-old females. My friend Anna and I were bored one weekend and decided to go to a popular beach to take some pictures and just mess around. So we took pictures and had a really lovely day. Then on the way back, we were starving, so we decided to stop at McDonald's in the beach town. This town is like really famous and nice. All the celebrities live there, and it's beautiful. There's also a super famous restaurant right off the highway on the beach. It's where all the celebrities and rich people go to eat. This McDonald's was directly across the street from the restaurant. Since so many famous people go to this restaurant, and it's on a pretty busy road, most of them have drivers that take them, usually in big black Escalades. The drivers would usually hang out in the parking lot of that McDonald's, while their bosses ate across the street. Anna and I didn't know this at the time. We just wanted a McFlurry. So we go to McDonald's, and right when we get out of the car, she starts acting really weird. She triple checks all car doors to make sure they're locked, and grabs her fancy camera to bring inside. I ask her what's up, and she says there is a group of guys, the drivers, standing in front of McDonald's smoking, just staring at us. And it was giving her the creeps. I'm a pretty chill and trusting person, so I don't think much of it. It's a busy place in a super nice town. I wasn't worried at all. We go in, and there are a few other people in there about our age. We get our food and sit at the table to eat. One of the drivers comes in and sits a few booths down with his back to the wall, right where he can see us. My back is to him, but Anna gets really creeped out and wants to leave. The guy wasn't eating anything, he's just staring at us. Again, this is a pretty crowded McDonald's in one of the nicest towns in Southern California, so I feel pretty safe. Living in South Central, you get used to the odd creep. Still, Anna was freaked out, so I agreed to go. I just had to run to the bathroom first. It was one of those McDonald's where the counter and main dining room were in one big room, and then there was a sort of hallway off to the side of the counter, with more seating and the bathroom at the end, way in the back. There was also a door going outside, right next to the bathrooms. The bathroom has only 2 stalls. I just walked into the first stall, not really paying attention to whether or not anyone else was in there. So I'm in there doing my thing, and then I hear the door open, and I hear Anna call my name. At this point, I'm very confused since she's supposed to be watching our stuff, and I'm like, "Yeah? What's up?" She asked me, "Are you okay?" And I reply with, "Yeah, just peeing." She was like, "Oh, okay," and just stands there, in the doorway. After a second, I hear her leave, and I'm thinking, that's very weird. So I walk out of the bathroom and see her waiting by the door with all of our stuff in her hands. I ask her what's going on and why she came in the bathroom, and she just looks at me really panicky and was like, "We need to leave right now." At this point, I'm still not afraid, just confused. We rush out to the car, and she starts telling me what happened. Turns out, when I walked into the bathroom, the creepy driver followed me in a little while after. I don't remember hearing him come in, but maybe I did, and just assumed someone had either been in the stall next to me and was leaving, or had just come to check their makeup or something. I'll be honest, I really wasn't paying attention. I know for sure I wasn't aware that anyone had entered the stall next to me, because he didn't close the stall door when he came in. She was on her phone, so she didn't see him follow me either. A young guy noticed it, and went up to my friend, asking if we knew the driver. Frantic, she told him we did not, and ran to check on me. He was in the stall next to me with the stall door open. It was the large handicap stall, not making a sound. She came in and didn't see him, so she called my name to make sure I was still alive, and he rushed out of the stall past her. She was in shock, and didn't know what to do other than gather our things and prepare to run. When we went to her car, he was sitting in his big black car with tinted windows next to us, still staring. We sped off, and when I got the story, we called the McDonald's to let them know what happened. They didn't really care. And then we called the non-emergency sheriff line to report it as well, which was closed. Thank you, Malibu, for nothing. Eventually, my mom went full-on mama bear and threatened to blast it all over social media that they didn't take my report seriously. She eventually got a hold of someone from McDonald's corporate. They checked their cameras, and they saw the guy follow me in. A police report was made, so hopefully this never happens to anyone else again. Here's the letter from the McDonald's corporate we got. Thank God nothing happened, but it was really scary. The guy was sitting in his car staring at us when we left. Who knows what he was planning on doing? Anyway, to the guy who followed me into the McDonald's bathroom, I pray we never meet again. I love a good McDonald's breakfast burrito, especially with hot sauce. I love them so much that when the drive-thru is backed up, I'll get out of my car like a peasant and go inside. Yesterday was one of those days. I was already running late for work, hungry, impatient, and on edge. As I approached the door, a girl stood in front of it like she was about to come out. She was blocking it with her body, but still pressing on it from the inside like she was holding it open for me. But she never stepped through. I walked in and said, "Thanks." Instead of leaving, she quietly closed the door behind me and sat down at a table near the entrance. I forgot all about her while waiting for my food. When I get back outside and walking to my car, "Ma'am? Ma'am?" I ignored the voice. I'm really late at this point. But then, I caught a glimpse in my peripheral vision. A woman with a suitcase was running straight at me, shouting, "Ignoring me is rude, ma'am. I know you can hear me." By then, I was at my car and had the driver's door open. I felt lucky, grateful even, that I had that door between us. Just for some context, I'd parked in one of those spots boxed in by concrete and rocks. No car in front or behind me, just dead space and cement. Instead of asking for money or to use my phone or anything even remotely normal, the woman, early 20s, well-dressed, nice coat, stylish hat, new backpack, and a high-end traveler's suitcase, demanded I give her a ride. "You have to give me a ride to the terminal," she said, like it was a fact. I told her I couldn't. I was already late for work, and besides, the terminal was a literal cakewalk from where we were standing. But she kept pushing, not asking, insisting. Something in her tone felt off. Too calm and confident, like she was used to getting what she wanted. I started to get angry. I realized there was no reasoning with her, so I tried to shut it down completely. "I'm not taking you anywhere," I said firmly. "I'm leaving." I got into my car, turned the key, and that's when she started yanking on the passenger door handle and pounding on my windows. Side note, thank God my Jeep is old school with manual locks. There was zero chance that door was unlocked. When she realized she couldn't get in, she ditched her suitcase and ran behind my Jeep. I glanced in the rear view just in time to see her digging through her purse while slamming her hands on the back window glass. If you've ever had an older Jeep, you know that back window glass is paper thin. The whole time she was screaming about what a bitch I was. And with the way she was rifling through her bag, my mind instantly jumped to two things. She's about to slash my tires. Or worse, she's about to shoot me. No more hesitation, I threw it into four-wheel drive and rolled right over the concrete and rocks, not caring that I was scraping the undercarriage to hell. I've got oversized mud tires and a healthy disregard for Jeep preservation. I peeled out of there. She chased me to the sidewalk, still screaming. Then I lost sight of her. To the crazy McDonald's lady, let's never meet again. I have a few lingering thoughts after this experience. Am I a bad person for not giving her a ride? Or was this one of those self-preservation tests life throws at you? I've read a lot of Reddit stories from the Let's Not Meet and No Sleep subs, where a good Samaritan ends up getting hurt, or worse, for letting the wrong person into their space. How did she get there in the first place? She had luggage, a backpack, a suitcase. Someone had to drop her off, or she walked. So why not just continue walking? She had a working phone. I saw it lit up in her hand when she first demanded a ride. Why didn't she just call someone? And this might be the scariest part. What if I had given her a ride, and there were people waiting at the terminal? What if this was a setup, like a team operation? If she'd just asked for money, she probably would have walked away with $20. But she didn't. She never asked. I have a lot more thoughts about this. I'm writing this story just to ask if I overreacted, or did I do the right thing, listening to that gut feeling I had. A couple of years ago, I worked at a McDonald's in Kansas. It was one of those locations with a large outdoor play place for kids. In all honesty, if it wasn't for that thing, I probably would have kept my job much longer. Part of my responsibilities included maintaining the cleanliness and safety of the big, colorful, large intestine-looking pyramid of tubes and slides. It goes without saying that kids are messy. Whenever one had a bathroom-related accident or there was an injury, I had to go in and clean and sterilize the thing the best I could. I'm a relatively small person, so I was able to access most of the spots in the play place just fine. Because of that, I knew the maze-like structure very well. It's ironic. I went to school to design skyscrapers, and the closest I ever got to that was becoming an expert in the inner workings of a McDonald's child trap. One night after work, my friend Nate and I decided to hang out and have a smoke before heading home. The play place was closed, even though the restaurant was still open. But instead of sitting in our cars, we unlocked the gate and wandered into the enclosure where the mini playground was, locking the gate behind us. Technically, we probably shouldn't have been doing that, but I felt that after all the time and sweat I sacrificed to that place, I'd earned the relative privacy it could offer. I sat at the base of one of the large tube slides and lit my cigarette, while Nate sat on a bench directly across from me. We had been talking for about 10 minutes. I shifted my weight in preparation to stand up when, from within the slide, something grabbed me, and grabbed me. Hard. What felt like a large hand clamped down on my left shoulder, tight enough to make my joints pop, and I could feel an index finger and thumb brush against the skin of my neck. I screamed, launched myself up, and sprinted to the exit, frantically yanking at the door before remembering it was locked, and I had the key. As Nate fired off questions, trying to make sense of what just happened, I stood there shaking, trying to catch my breath. I stared back at the slide, waiting for a coworker to crawl out laughing, having pulled off a brilliant prank. But nothing happened. I didn't hear a sound from within the structure. No shifting plastic, no footsteps, no breathing, just silence. I unlocked the gate, walked out, slammed it shut, and locked it again. I ran back into the restaurant and immediately went to the back office to check the security video. The entrance and the spot where I had been sitting were monitored, along with 2 other angles that showed most of the small gated area. But there was still about a third of the structure that wasn't visible. After watching the footage closely for 5 minutes and seeing nothing unusual, I called a friend of mine who's a cop. He drove over about 15 minutes later, and together we walked back into the play place area, armed with flashlights and mace. We searched every inch of that structure. Not only was there no one there, but there were no signs anyone had been hiding inside or broken in. I was at a complete loss for words. I felt foolish, but I knew with absolute certainty that I had been grabbed. I barely slept that night. The following morning, I came in early to review the entire surveillance tape from the previous night. Not once did anyone emerge from the slide or exit the gate before we opened the play place to kids again. Later that day, I went through the whole structure again, this time with the biggest coworker I had. Still nothing. No signs, no evidence, No answers. The play place is completely enclosed within a fenced-in area, with only one gate in or out. The fence is about 8 feet high, not impossible to climb, but it would be extremely difficult to do so without being noticed or leaving a trace. To this day, I'm still at a loss to explain what happened. Some people I've told this to are convinced I experienced something paranormal, that the play place is haunted. Others think I was the victim of an extremely well-planned practical joke, which is what I lean more towards. At this point, I wouldn't even be mad to find out it was a prank. I'm just desperate to learn how it was done. I quit the job about 4 or 5 months after the incident. But what bothers me the most is this. If there really was a living, breathing person in that slide, they would have had to silently prop themselves up, fighting gravity, barely making a sound or breathing, for me not to notice them. And then, after grabbing me, they would have had to climb back up the tunnel again without a sound. I didn't hear a single whisper of movement behind me, not even the faintest hint of breath on the back of my neck. I really hope that one day I'll discover the truth behind what happened and why.